On November 28, 1965, 24-year-old Consuelo Valenzuela and a few of her friends were walking to their car after spending a couple hours at the El Calderon Ballroom, a historic music venue and dance hall in Phoenix. Fernando Salcido Dominguez, Consuelo's 26-year-old ex-husband, suddenly appeared, grabbing her arm and screaming at her to come with him. Consuelo said she did not want to go with him and attempted to free herself but was unsuccessful. The confrontation got louder, enough to get the attention of Alfred Moore as he was driving home from work. Moore was a 38-year-old Arizona State liquor control agent. The arguing got his attention, but seeing Fernando being physical was enough for Agent Moore to turn around and pull to the side of the street, getting out of his car and walking over. As he approached, he would ask, "What's going on here?" And Fernando, already angry, yelled, "She's my wife and I'm taking her home." Moore, doing his best to mediate and keep the peace, looked at Consuelo, who said that they were no longer married and she didn't want to go with him. Agent Moore, hearing her reply and knowing he would make sure she wouldn't go with him, looked back at Fernando, who at this point had withdrawn a gun and it was aimed right at him. In a flash, Agent Moore would make a dash back to his car. Before gunshots would ring out, two of them would hit him in the back, and he would collapse to the street. Consuelo's friends scattered, and Fernando would look at Consuelo and tell her, "If you don't do what I say, I'll kill you right now." And at gunpoint, he would force her to come with him as they ran off down the street into the night. Agent Alfred Moore, mortally wounded, would force himself to have enough strength to reach his car and radio for help, dying moments after. Fernando and Consuelo would continue to flee on foot until he was able to track down a taxi, and they would take the taxi to the Val Vista Motel and arrive there at 3:15 in the morning. He would use a false name, and their arrival time and their appearance caused the manager to be suspicious. There, Fernando forced himself on her several times, telling her if he died, she would go with him. When she woke up Sunday morning, the room smelled of gas from the stove, and all the windows were closed. By this time, the death of Agent Moore and the kidnapping of Consuelo were known and made public on the television and the newspaper and on the radio. Descriptions would go out of the two. When the motel manager heard the descriptions, he would call police. Police arrived Sunday evening, and instead of breaking down the door, they got a room key from the manager. Quietly, they were able to open the door, but they saw that it was blocked on the inside. They immediately announced themselves and broke down the door, getting through pretty quickly, and they could see Consuelo against the wall. She was alive. They could also see Fernando's reflection in the bathroom mirror. As they approached him, 2 shots rang out. They raced over to the bathroom and found Fernando dead from suicide. Liquor control agent Alfred Moore lived in Phoenix with his 16-year-old daughter at the time of his death. Aside from her, he was survived by his parents, 2 sons, another daughter, 2 brothers, and 3 sisters. He had been an agent for 2 years and was an ordained deacon and superintendent of Sunday school at his father's church. Liquor control captain Barney Coffin said of Moore, "He was one of my best men. He lived for his job." Alfred Moore is buried at the Greenwood Memorial Lawn Cemetery in Phoenix. Fernando Salcido Dominguez is buried at the Green Acres Memorial Park in Scottsdale. Here is the location where the El Calderon Ballroom used to be, a very popular venue and dance hall for nearly 50 years in Phoenix. And the location here is of the Val Vista Motel, as it appears today, no longer a motel. The location's still there after 60 years. Not sure which room this occurred in, but here is where Fernando and Consuelo showed up at 3:15 in the morning, and where he would later commit suicide.